Something's off tonight. I can feel it. A little shift in the shape of me. Caught my reflection and it didn't land. Didn't look wrong, just not familiar. Who am I when the signal glitches, when the outline blurs and the name won't stick? Who am I when the world rewrites the parts I thought were mine to keep? I used to know myself by what I could do. Little proofs, little anchors, but now the same things sing back at me. A quiet hum, doing what I do, and I feel it slipping within it, an almost empty room inside my chest. Who am I when the signal glitches, when the rules I practice don't belong? Who am I without the skill I built my name on? Tell me what's left. If I fade a little, if the edges loosen, will I still be here? Will any part stay? I'm trying to hold myself, but I'm slipping through my own hands. Who am I when the signal glitches? Maybe this break is how it starts. Who am I without the armor? Maybe this time I meet my heart. People look different lately, not older, just unsure. I can see it in their eyes, like they're searching for something they used to know. Everyone's moving slowly, like their bodies remember a path their minds forgot. Everyone's losing shape, I can feel it. The faces we try to hold on to, they're slipping. Everyone's losing shape, and no one wants to say it, that we don't know who we are without the world we practice being in. I hear people talking like they're playing pretend, laughing too loud, pausing too long. I can tell they're scared of being seen, not their bodies, their truth. We all build ourselves on things that aren't here anymore. Jobs, roles, skills, stories, all the stuff we thought made us real. I can feel it trying to any of us expected this, to outlive the selves we spent years becoming, to wake up and not fit into the person we said we'd be. Everyone's losing shape, I can feel it. Maybe it's not breaking, maybe it's clearing. Everyone's losing shape, and maybe that's okay. And maybe this is where we start again.
It's strange, watching someone hit that moment where the world stops matching who they are. She thinks she's falling apart, she thinks she's fading, but she isn't. She's just stepping into the part where everything you built your identity on stops holding its shape. I can see it in her. The way she questions herself, the way her outline feels like it's dissolving. It's the same look so many people will have. Not older, just unsure, not broken, just temporarily off balance, and she doesn't know it yet. But this confusion she's drowning in, it isn't an ending, it's the clearing. Because inside all that fog, all that slipping, all that panic, something tangible and real will glow. It won't be loud or obvious, but a glimpse of truth behind her ribs, and she'll see it. This is how new things begin. Not with certainty or confidence, but with a flicker you feel before you understand it. A tiny idea, just a direction to move, a pulse. The world breaking open leaves cracks, and in those cracks the light reaches people who never got a chance to feel it before. She's one of them. She thinks she's losing herself, but really she's losing everything that kept her from seeing further. The confusion is space, the unraveling is invitation, and she's about to find it. That spark, that thread of truth that doesn't come from the old world, the old identity or the old name she lived inside. It will be small at first, almost nothing, but real and hers. And once she feels that pull, that first honest direction, she'll understand what every person who wakes up eventually learns. You don't need the full map, just enough glow to take one step. And when she takes it, that will be the moment she stops slipping and starts becoming.
When something inside you stops, you follow it. Gotta 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 follow it, gotta follow it. Gotta follow it, gotta follow it. It's pulling at me, light under the skin, flicker in the ribs, something waking up. Gotta follow it, gotta follow it. Gotta follow it, gotta follow it. The room is stale, screens are buzzing, air feels heavy, thoughts keep fogging. I've been stuck here in the aftershock, heartbeat pacing, mind deadlocked. But something sparked when the night went quiet, a thread I touched that didn't break, and now it's humming under everything, calling me awake. I can't stay buried in the stillness anymore. I feel the edges of a different door, hands itching, pulse lifting, feet wanting motion. Something new is gathering like a tide beneath my ribs. Gotta follow it, that little light that flickered through the dark. Gotta follow it before it fades, before I talk myself dancing with their own beginnings. But none of it feels like my language anymore. I'm slipping out of who I was, and finally I'm not afraid of that. Last night I saw a map inside myself, lines and colors leading somewhere I've never been, somewhere honest. I want windows down, breathing my lungs, a place where the past can't follow. I want emotion beyond survival. I want something that feels like a rival, something shifting, something's lifting. I can't stay still and miss this. Gotta follow it, that spark that stayed when everything else went quiet. Gotta follow it, the first warm truth after weeks of riot. Gotta follow it, gotta follow it, gotta follow it before it slips back underground. So what if I don't know what I'm running towards? So what if I'm messy, unsteady, half reborn? So what if no one else can see this pulse in me? It's real, it's mine, and it's moving. What matters to them isn't what's saving me. What matters to me is finally breathing free. Gotta follow it, the lift, the shimmer, the something new beginning. Gotta follow it, out the door, down the street, into whatever I'm becoming. Gotta follow it, 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 gotta follow it.
She originally thought the hardest part was finding this spark, but it wasn't. The hardest part is figuring out what to do with it. Because the moment she starts following that feeling, she realizes how delicate it is, how easily misunderstood, how easily dismissed, how easily taken from her it can be before it ever becomes real. She'll notice it in small ways first. A pressure in social circles with people thinking she's crazy. A shift in the tone of people who were once supportive. A heaviness that settles in when she tries to explain what she's building. Not hostility, just the suggestion that her path would be easier if she aimed smaller. And she'll understand, even if she never puts the language to it, that anything new, anything honest, anything that reaches beyond the frame we're given, draws attention, and the kind that makes her want to speak without being obvious, to say something without saying it out loud. And this is where doubt comes in, because she won't know if what she feels can survive the journey outward. She won't know if anyone will understand the thing beneath her words, but she also knows that some truths can't be handed to people, they have to be felt first before they can be seen. So she'll choose the only path that lets a message breathe without being caged. She'll turn to expression, not as performance, but as a kind of shelter. Because a song can hold a warning, without sounding like one. A melody can carry a memory past every barrier. A story can plant something in someone, long before they realize what it is. She won't announce what she means. She won't argue. She won't fight. She'll place it gently into the only vessel that travels untouched, art. And it will scare her how much she hopes it reaches someone and how much she fears it might. How much she wants to stay small and how much she knows she can't, because she can already feel that what she's creating brushes against power. And she can feel the shadow of what happens when something dismissed starts to matter. This last track, this final piece, will be her attempt to speak in the safest, dangerous way. Not through proof, not through argument, but through resonance. A message hidden in feeling, a warning disguised as warmth. A truth wrapped so gently that it might slip through unnoticed, until the moment someone needs it. This is where her voice trembles but doesn't break. This is where she reaches for the only language left that can carry what she's afraid to say. And this is where the final song begins.
I don't know how to say this without losing half the truth. Words get twisted, meaning shifted, stories borrowed, lines misused. So I sit here with the silence, trying to give it shape again. Something small, as honest as I can be, and maybe soft enough to slip in. 'Cause if I speak it plain, they'll break it in half. Tell me I'm reaching, tell me it's madness. But if I sing it low, if I breathe it slow, maybe you'll hear what I can't show. So I'll give you something you might feel, not something you'll read. Hide the truth in the glow of it, a signal through the fear. If the world won't let me say it, I'll whisper it in the seams. I'll give you something you'll feel, even if you never know what it means. I've seen how power listens, not to people in pain. They rewrite all the warnings, call the fire just a flame. So I'll fold my voice in rhythm, wrap the edges in a song, make a lantern out of longing for whoever is becoming someone. And they can call it foolish, they can say it's nothing real, but the truth sneaks quiet through the places they can't seal. So I'll try giving you something to feel, not something to fear. Let the meaning move without a name, a message in the clear. If they try to drown the story, still the shimmer's gonna bleed out. I'll give you something you'll feel, something soft that tells you breathe. And maybe you won't notice what I'm trying to send. Maybe it won't hit you till the world starts to bend. But if one spark finds you when you're breaking at the seams, then every doubt I suffered was the price of what I mean. Something you'll feel, not something you can keep. Let it seep beneath the noise, the lies, the waking and the sleep. If they silence every truth that tries to rise between their schemes, I'll give you something you'll feel. And maybe that's the only way.
You ever notice how quiet it gets? Right before someone tells the truth, when you say the quiet part out loud. Not the polite truth. Not the social truth or the half-baked clean version of the truth, but the truth that rearranges the furniture in people's minds. The kind of idea that threatens someone's job, reputation, or empire built on the hope that no one ever asks how it works. I don't intentionally mean to step into that kind of truth just to be rebellious. I'm just trying to build something honest, real, that doesn't need permission, applause, or approval from people who only speak when the incentives tell them to. But even so, without trying but in understanding, you're eventually forced to say something that reveals the machinery behind the curtain. And when you do, everyone who depends on that machinery hears it, and they hear it loud. See, power never fears ideas because they're wrong. Power fears ideas because they might be right, because a right idea doesn't ask to be let in. It walks through the front door and shows everybody what was hiding in the dark. And permissionless money, crypto used as money, not speculative entertainment, that's the loudest right idea of the last 100 years. Not because it's shiny, or because of its tech, but because it interrupts the oldest script on earth. The right to skim from everyone else before they even wake up. Every government, entrusted authority, they all live off that silent drip, the silent tax, the invisible cut. And a chain that starts monetizing for real doesn't just create wealth, it closes the valve on the one trick every empire uses when its promises cost more than its honesty can afford. You close that valve, and suddenly the room gets real quiet. Not because they don't understand, because they do. If this project reaches the world the way I think is possible, it won't just threaten the culture they control and the dominant casino narratives of Bitcoin maximalism. It'll threaten the money that funds the culture they control, the whole pyramid, the whole food chain, when something threatens both narrative and revenue. They don't debate it. They don't analyze it. They don't shrug it off. They try to cut its head off, not because it's actually dangerous, but because it interrupts what they've grown used to taking. So before we go any further, before we enter the next phase, I want you to understand the stakes. The truth. If you build a fair alternative, the people who live off the unfair one will treat you like a thief, even when you steal nothing, even when all you did was reveal the lies. And that's where we're headed now. The part of the story where the lights come on, the music shifts, and we finally get honest about why parallel money will be punished if it succeeds. This next track isn't a warning. It's a map of the pressure points, the incentives, the reasons they smile while tightening the net. A map of why they'll pretend they're confused when they knew the stakes all along. A map of why they'll comfort. Because once you touch the take, once you touch the part they're not willing to share, the story changes. And ready or not, that's where we go next. Yeah.
Money ain't neutral, it's a claim on the pie. Find nice slice of the good you can buy. When one for monetize gets high in the sky, something else lose premium, that's math, not a lie. Look, they say we're all gonna make it, but no one explains that value ain't floating in none ain't your space. If Bitcoin, LTC, whole crypto space, soak up trust, fiat, bleed from the face. States live on that bleed, that's the hidden rent. Seed, your rich spread, that quiet percent. Print a little extra, skim what you meant. Call it policy, not theft, but the outcome spent. So if your chain start monetizing for real, not casino, not memes, but day-to-day feel. You're not just up only, you cut in the mills of the same machine that writes law and seals. They'll lean heavy on the tax through print, double down on CPI, that don't make a dent. Call it transitory, structural meant, but it's just new language for the old consent. Yeah, adopting alt money shrinks their intake, less soft default on the debts they make. Every set that escapes is a vote you take against their claim on the sweat you make. Most don't see it, they chase chalk low, think number up means danger low. But if your coin steals faith from the money, they know you just turned hobby into state level foe. People live in denial cause the truth cuts deep. They never knew what money was built to keep. Thought hardest points on the board, not claims in the heap, but resources states promise they'll guard while you sleep. If fair money could live by a ballot of pen, you wouldn't need proof of work to defend. You build hardened rails cause trust broke then, and that's why they'll fight when your rails get manned. Yeah, this is why heat comes when adoption spikes. Why just an asset turns threat on sight. You're not just getting rich when your bags get light. You're draining the reservoir, they used to rule right. They'll say, we support innovation, of course. Why they root more tax through the back door source? Inflation controls new regs on the course, cause your parallel money dilutes therefore. So when they act shocked, play dumb on the threat. Remember to claim they're protecting this debt. You're not special, you collateral, they ain't done with yet. And your little orange rockets are holding their neck. This is why phase one ever starts, understand, not cause they fear code, cause you touch the take in their hands. Yeah, people, you touch the take in their hands. You touch the take in their hands.
You think we fear Bitcoin because we hate freedom. You think we crave control because we're jealous of code. But you don't see what we see. We don't manage money for individuals, we manage it for millions. For families that can't handle volatility, for people living paycheck to paycheck. For retirees who don't know what a private key is. You call inflation a tax, but to us it's the lever that prevents collapse. You can't run a nation on a spreadsheet and vibes. You need tools, even blunt ones, to keep systems from falling apart in real time. And yes, we redistribute wealth. Not because we want to punish success, but because without redistribution, half the country falls through the cracks. And when they don't fall quietly, they fall into riots, hunger, chaos, and we're the ones who have to pick up the pieces. So when an alternative money rises, when capital flows out of our reach, when people migrate into systems that don't respond to emergencies, we don't see innovation. We see instability. Our responsibility is to the whole, not the brilliant, not the brave, not the early adopters, the whole. We fear our power. We fear your exit. Both fears come from the same place, the reality that money shapes everything. You call it control. We call it duty. Maybe both are true.
We're not trying to overthrow you. We're trying to survive you. We're the ones who pay more into the system than we take out, the ones who build the businesses, create the jobs, take the risks, and then shoulder the downside when things go wrong. We don't ask the state to carry us. We ask the state to stop weighing us down. Inflation isn't just a policy tool to us, it's dilution, erosion, a slow leak in the bucket we keep trying to fill. You say redistribution keeps society stable. We say it removes incentives and punishes productivity. You see Bitcoin as a threat to the social contract. We see it as the first contract that doesn't shift with every election cycle. We don't want to abandon the world, we want to build a better one, not because we believe in utopia, but because we've lived long enough to see how the old systems fail in slow motion. We're not enemies of the people, we're part of the people. But when the cost of supporting the system grows faster than the system's ability to support itself, you call us selfish for leaving. We call it rational. We're not trying to break society. We're trying to preserve the parts that still work.
two incentives. Two worlds tied to the same problem. The state sees alternative money as a fracture in collective stability. The individual sees it as an escape from forced sacrifice. Both are right, both are wrong, and both are trapped in a system where any shift in the money reshapes the entire world. This isn't a story of good or evil. It's a story of design, incentives, and survival. And in a war over money, everyone fights for the side that feeds them.
Let's be real. Let's be real, this market's still a fantasy. Y'all stay at price so long you think it's security. Number going up, feel like risk disappearing. But in history, that's exposure, not purity. Yeah, this ain't a tech shift, it's a war on the mint. Fight over who gets the tax, what you think. Not vibes, not memes, not NGU prints. It's senior, it's choke points, power and hints. Look, I tried talking to the maxes and peace. Ask what's the state's plan when they see receipts. How's Bitcoin defend when they aim police at the rails, at the miners, at the hash, at the fees? Most don't want that convo at all. They want line go up. Conference, roll call. They think politicians like us were too tall, but popularity's the siren that precedes the fall, If votes could fix money, we'd skip proof of work. No need for a chain that resists paperwork. Bitcoin exists cause legislation failed first, cause empires don't stop printing when the poor hurt. Yeah, every state when you threaten their till gon' regulate. Co-op, crush at will, they did it with gold. They push it on cash, so why would they chill when your chain cut tax? Okay, your face come on the sheet with a toy stage exchanges, boom. KYC front page, they tag it as risk asset, let you play cause it don't touch seniorage, not yet in the way. Phase 2, black market, heat turn real, CBDCs roll out, bands get sealed, hard forks flow, compliance is a deal, white market cut, users slip to the field. Phase 3, competition, now they mine too, stay hash clean pools, blacklist crew, silent 51% through approved views, feed war broom between us and them dudes, face for surrender, but not like you dream, no flag, no speech, no fine, no scene, just cycles of pressure on the pipes to the stream, sometimes they lean back, sometimes they lean me. So miss me with too popular to ban. They ban gold cash, whole markets on demand. When crowds touch power, that's when laws land. They don't fear fringe, they fear what's in hand. Soft band first, that's the gentlest choke. Treat every spin like a tax event joke. Cap gains tagged on your coffee and smoke. Demurra John Holdings unrealized soap. Yeah, KYC walls round every on-ramp built. AML scripts make your wallet feel guilt. Black is push privacy out to the hill. White market legal, gray market tilt. But none of that kills the code, just the crowd. 5% stay go, still moving around. Non-KYC, peer-to-peer, underground, and money roll. No names on the sound. Next move, hash war, censorship light. Compliant pools block, unseen bites. Mixed coin stuck, mempool polite. No law passed, you just wait all night. But every cent of TX grows a bounty. Fee field rise like a mountain county. Some miner somewhere outside the county sees that profit spike and route gets rowdy. State can't subsidize blocks for a bit. Burn tax funds just to filter the mix. But open incentives don't ever quit. Every squeeze they push makes resistance rich. The same revolution with torches and chances to slowly gotta fail in finance. From ETFs, real estate, comfort grants to self-custody pass where the state can't glance. AI drops cost of thought to near zero. Crypto drops cost to trust new heroes. Fiat bloats then buckles in slow. State swings back but can't stop the flow. Yeah, out of this tug of war over the till comes a class that ain't built on Capitol Hill. Pseudonymous mobile strategy feel. Sovereign and cold, not licensed to chill. War over money, quiet, slow jam. Not waged with guns, but with exits and ram. I ain't saying it's simple, I'm saying it's planned. If you treat this like a market, you'll lose to the war over who gets to print what you am.
Yeah. 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 Systems don't collapse from anger, they collapse from math. Trust runs thin, inflation runs fat. Asset prices sink where pensions sat. That's when the facade cracks and nobody patches that. Look, states don't lose power from revolts on the street. They lose it when the middle class can't make ends meet. When the paycheck buys less, when savings deplete. When the protector can't protect its defeat. And meanwhile, the information economy's in liftoff mode. Intelligence, automated cognition sold. The high value labor that once paved gold, now replaced by models that never sleep or fold. The architects of that world, the builders, solvers, thinkers, they won't need legs, rails, or bureaucratic blinkers. They'll mint value from code, scale like hyperlink fingers, and won't sit still while taxation lingers. Yeah, these are the economic minority, the ones states tax heavy, cause the rest need subsidy. But when your mind generates asymmetric productivity, you don't stick around for involuntary captivity. Privacy tools ain't rebellion, they're rationality. Opting out ain't treason, it's practicality. Crypto's not culture war, it's proportionality. High value nodes seek low friction locality. Small numbers move systems when the leverage is real. 1% leaving TradFi, that's a seismic field. Liquidity dries up, velocity peels. The state feels shockwaves from a handful of deals. And those individuals don't know how to hide in plain sight. Zach Proofs mixes privacy by right. Not anarchist, just rational, bright. Slipping out the back when the front gets tight. See, states fight will force individuals flight. And in an info economy, mobility is might. When the smartest nodes migrate from the failing site, the old system dims, the new one ignites. Yeah, individuals will not cause they rebel out, but cause their incentives unbind from the crowd. They drift toward tools that keep them unbowed. And the future follows the scarce, not the proud. Not revolution, but attrition. Not battle, but omission. The world reorganizes around who no longer needs permission.
People don't like to admit this, but economic value is inseparable from identity. Not because money equals worth, but because purpose equals contribution. And contribution is measured by the tribe you're part of. In every culture, in every era, your role, your economic value was how the group understood what you meant to them. Hunter, builder, healer, craftsman, thinker. Identity and value were the same thing. When you remove that, when people can't find alignment between their skills and the world's needs, they don't just lose income, they lose direction, they lose themselves. That's why this transition is bigger than money. It's identity reconstruction, it's cultural rewiring, it's people relearning where purpose comes from. The old institutions, governments, corporations, media, they used to coordinate that meaning. They used to tell people where they fit. But those systems are too taxed, too restricted, too misaligned to function anymore. And when the old world can't give people purpose, they don't wait. They migrate. They find new rails, new tools, new forms of coordination, new tribes, new values. Parallel systems rise. Not out of rebellion, but out of necessity. People will relearn meaning the way their ancestors understood it. Not given, not branded, not bought, but earned by aligning who you are with what you build. And the new institutions will bloom from that. Systems built not to control identity, but to coordinate it.
Yeah. Systems don't shatter, they split. One path stays formal, the other goes lit. Parallel rails from quiet bit by bit. Not rebellion, just people choosing what fits. The old world runs on paperwork, borders and trust. Institutional memory, bureaucratic dust. But when trust hits zero and inflation combusts, the demand for alternatives ain't optional, it's just must. First come the whispers, use self-custody, leave banks slow. Then privacy tools, cold wallets, OTC flows. Then the market shift where liquidity goes, and the new rails bloom where the capital grows. Parallel systems ain't built on a stage, they're built in the cracks where institutions age. P2P liquidity, non-KYC wage, value roots around choke points like water and rage. Yeah, we get new credit networks, decentralized lending, pseudonymous merchants, trust curves bending, settlement systems with no central ending, protocols replacing intermediaries pretending. And identity splits too, anonymous when needed, public when cool, reputation on chain, but privacy to rule, world self-sorting like a laid school. The state still runs pension checks and roads, but value creation drifts to the nodes who build in code, who route in modes that never ask permission from the old abodes. Yeah, this ain't collapse, it's parallel ascendance. Two systems growing with opposite dependence. Old world coercion-based legal attendance, new world incentive-based voluntary presence. See, people don't leave the system all at once, they hedge, digitize, reduce their fronts. First one income, then two, then months, where the old rails feel more like stunts. And when capital chooses the faster rail, the slower rail can't prevail. Not malice, just math, just scale, just a world aligning to what won't fail. Yeah, parallel systems rise, cause they cheaper per unit of trust, cause they settle in minutes, cause they route through dust, cause people vote with usage when they quietly adjust. And when the new rails hold value better than the old rails must, the migration ain't resistance, it's economic drift out of obligation into optional trust.
You can't separate culture from money. People pretend you can. But you can't. Money is just the scoreboard for what a society values, and when the money becomes distorted, the culture follows it right off the cliff. Look around. Viral trends with no meaning. Music built for algorithms, not expression. Influences gaming dopamine loops because the system rewards noise over depth. OnlyFans is a replacement for intimacy. Politics is entertainment. Corruption treated like weather. Something we complain about but never expect to change. The world didn't get stupid overnight, it ran out of meaning. Because the incentives lost their center. When a society forgets what built it, discipline, craft, production, effort, shared purpose, shared risk, it fills the void with spectacle. We praise consumption like it's a virtue, leaders tell us. Spend more, consumption drives the economy. As if burning the crops makes the soil richer. It's all backwards. Culture decays when the foundations of economic reality decay. When extraction replaces production, when debt replaces value, when short-term highs replace long-term building. And you can see the rot in the culture long before it shows up on the balance sheet. But this isn't the end. It's a forgetting, a temporary amnesia of what made civilizations strong in the first place. And when a society forgets, new systems always rise to remember for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once the money splits, the culture ain't far behind. People don't just change systems, they change how they define who they are, what they value, what they trying to find. Cause meaning's the shadow that money leaves in the mind. The old world built identity like a checklist. Job title, citizenship, credit score metrics. Culture streamed down from institutions and networks. Top-down myths curated to keep the whole thing symmetric. But when trust in that center starts losing its glow, meaning migrates underground, where the real ones go. New tribes form from the fractures, fast, not slow. Culture turns decentralized like values flow. Look, parallel systems don't just settle payments in minutes. They settle narratives, they settle who wins it. They give voice to the builders who were never positioned by old gatekeeper systems or legacy opinions. Architects of meaning ain't philosophers and towers. They coders, creators, streamers with 100K hours. Builders of tools that reroute central powers, designing identity that no governor devours. Yeah, culture used to revolve around state-sanctioned stories, flags, borders, institutions that demanded glories. But meaning today birds from individuals' histories. In a world, architects turning pain into theories. In the new operating system, it's not politics, it's incentives matched to identity sticks. Communities form from preference, not geographic bricks. Trust networks fluid like decentralized physics. In the old world, culture preserves status quo. In the new world, culture says, where do you wanna go? Identity flexible, pseudonymous glow. You choose who you are through the rails that you flow. See, meaning ain't passive, it's built like code. Every value is aligned to someone bestowed. But when the old myths crack under pressure's low, people reclaim authorship over their own mode. Yeah, they start asking questions the state never answers. What's purpose? What matters? What's real? Not glances. And culture emerges from decentralized dances, not algorithms trained to exploit your chances. Architects of meaning craft worlds from the dust. Inner truth, though pain, hard-earned trust. They don't preach utopia as a digital lust. They build cultural always where participation's a must. And in that OS, identity isn't borrowed, it's made. Meaning isn't granted, it's paid. Value isn't voted on, it's weighed. Culture doesn't trickle, it cascades. Yeah, the new world rises quiet without regime. From nodes aligned by purpose, not by a dream. From people who stopped asking systems to redeem and started coding meaning like architects of a beam, yeah.
You can only understand what's coming if you understand what came before it. When money changes, culture changes. When incentives shift, values shift with them. We've seen that already. The decay, the noise, the loss of meaning in a world built on distorted signals. But there's another layer most people miss. When the economy itself evolves, not just the currency, not just the rails, but the very nature of value creation. Culture doesn't just adapt, it transforms. Because every stage of civilization was shaped by the kind of work humans had to do to survive. Agriculture built faith and ritual. Industry built nationalism and order. Information built identity and creativity and what comes next. A world where intelligence is abundant, where labor collapses to near zero, where tools amplify thought instead of replacing bodies. That world will require an entirely new cultural operating system. Not inherited, not enforced, not state-written, but born from individuals rediscovering meaning after generations of noise. When machines handle the complexity, humans return to the core questions. What do we value? What do we build? Who are we together? Who am I alone? The new economy won't just change jobs, it will change understanding. It will change how communities form, how identity is shaped, how purpose is found.
Because when the foundations shift, when productivity becomes infinite, when knowledge becomes ambient, when value becomes unbounded, culture follows upward. It always has. And what rises next won't look like the past or the present. It'll feel like a new kind of clarity, a higher evolution of meaning, purpose, and truth. Not a revolution, an evolution. The spiritual layer, revealed by the technological one.
Yeah. Once systems fracture and culture unbinds, people start looking inward past the noise in their minds. The old myths fade, old anchors unwind, and something ancient wakes in the cracks left behind. Not religion, but the part of you that asks why you're here, the part that don't fit in algorithms of fear, the part that survived years of pressure and tears, the soul that technology just made crystal clear. Look, machines don't replace us, they reveal us. Strip out the noise till the truth feel near us. Automation ain't threat, it's a mirror that steers us back to the parts of ourselves we forgot was serious. When AI takes the label, what's left is intention. When models take the knowledge, what's left is dimension. When code takes the patterns, what's left is ascension. A spiritual shift born from cognitive extension. Can't cling to old meaning when the world reboots. When identity decouples from geography roots, you rediscover purpose in deeper pursuits. Truth, creation, values not tied to disputes. And you realize something the state can't contain. The spirit evolves when the system's constrained. Freedom ain't physical, it's internal domain. Once you wake to that fact, you don't fit in their frame. And the machines we fear, they're part of the story. They offload the grind, they compress inventory. They free human bandwidth for meaning and glory, and turn every person into a self-written story. Yeah, the new world's spiritual cause the old one was numb. We thought survival was purpose, but that time's done. Now people ask questions, no algorithm outruns. Who am I once the labor is none? What's left when intelligence costs close to none? With soul in a world where cognition is one. Turns out the answer ain't bleak or extreme. You become the architect of your own moral scheme. You align your actions with your internal beam. The machines handle skill, you handle meaning. Yeah, this is the renaissance they never saw coming. Spiritual machines, human minds drumming. Identity unbound, old systems succumbing to individuals who rise cause their truth kept humming. No gods, no kings, just sovereign minds finding divinity in the space technology unwinds. Call it rebirth, call it a climb, call it the moment, the future finally aligned in a world of machines. It's not code that shines, it's the soul that remains once you're free of the grind. Yeah. We started with, who am I? But the real question was wider. What's a person in a world where the old rails glitch and the new ones haven't formed yet? Identity cracked cause the foundation cracked. Culture collapsed cause the incentives collapsed. People mistook the symptoms for the cause, but the cause was always the scaffolding beneath it all.
The war over money wasn't greed, it was gravity. Systems fight to stay whole when trust breaks. States defend their rails when alternatives wake. But individuals, they move like water, quiet, persistent, inevitable once they see the fault lines. Look, parallel systems didn't rise for rebellion. They rose because the old world priced out its own future, taxed its best minds, punished creation, rewarded stagnation, turned meaning into a subscription and purpose into a punch clock. But in the cracks, a new kind of builder emerged. People with compressed decades of inner worlds, quiet discipline, and enough clarity to see past the decay. Architects of meaning, writers of new identity rails, not artificial, amplified, not replacing the human, revealing it in the machines. They didn't kill the spirit, they stripped away the noise so the spirit could finally breathe. Yeah. We're entering an era where intelligence is infinite, but meaning is earned, where labor is automated, but purpose is handcrafted, where culture isn't broadcast, it's built line by line, value by value, tribe by tribe. This is the blueprint, a world where people choose their identity, their economics, their rails, their truth. A world where individuals, true individuals, outperform institutions because they adapt fast and learn fast to see clearer, act freer. And maybe you didn't notice it at first, but you felt it. The old world slipping, the new one humming. The quiet sense of something fundamental shifted while everyone was arguing about the surface. Act I was reflection, Act 2 was revelation, Act 3 is construction. The part where we stop asking what the future will be and start building the rails it'll stand on.
No more asking who we are, no more asking who decides.
From this point on, the answer becomes simple.
We build the meaning, we build the systems, we build the world.